This is Terrence Andre Banks with Information Age Financial Solutions coming to you with an interesting article I read from CNBC.com. Pain, despair, and poverty reach fever pitch for unemployed workers. Anyone not new to the channel knows that I function from titles. And this one, of course, stuck out to me, especially because we're in just the times and dire straits that we're actually in. And if you're in a good financial position, count yourself lucky, but never take things for granted. And you'll see why as I continue reading this article. As always, I'm going to put a link inside the description, but just to be aware. So many people don't want to share their financial position with you, and you don't know if they're close family or friends, especially if they're suffering. So keep this in mind as you're going forward with dealing with anybody. And again, as I said before, count yourself blessed or lucky in that point that you're not facing a financial issue like these individuals here. 9 months ago, the coronavirus pandemic upended the economy, swiftly pushing millions into joblessness. Financial plight has been growing steadily since the summer as Americans await further relief from Congress. Unemployed workers Randy Chase, Nona Niles, and Miles Carpenter exemplify the growing hardship around the country. Randy Chase has lived in his pickup truck for months. And this is a construction worker, and with real estate booming like this, it's interesting to see. Randy Chase, 57, does masonry work on construction crews with unemployment benefits stalled since April and has no savings left. He's been living in his pickup truck outside of Denver since September, using an electric heater to keep him warm. Luckily, the tiny cab of his 1996 Nissan is easy to heat, and that's a lifesaver in the sub-freezing winter chill outside of Denver. So armed with a gas-powered generator and a small electric heater, the 57-year-old makes do. Chase has suffered misfortune after misfortune since the spring. Unemployment benefits have been stuck in limbo. Work opportunities have been sporadic. Now the cold makes it hard to find jobs in his trade. As a mason on construction crews, his savings depleted and his truck's partially wrecked by a hit-and-run driver. Wow. Chase can't move somewhere where jobs are more plentiful. Chase can't move somewhere where jobs are more plentiful. Having to stand on a freeway off ramp with a sign that says you're hungry, it's a new experience for me, Chase said. They can't move, okay? It's been 9 months since coronavirus pandemic began its assault on American livelihoods. Since then, financial desperation has steadily grown for jobless Americans across the country. Almost 8 million people have fallen into poverty since the summer. Savings for many, especially lowest earners, are either dwindling or gone. Millions of households owe thousands in back rent and utilities and face a renewed threat of eviction in the new year. A growing share of unemployed individuals say their households don't have enough to eat. Look at the jobless claims. And they spiked there, and it looks like they're going down since December. But still in the millions. Congress seems close to finalizing. Gosh, I can't speak today. A $900 billion COVID relief bill that, as of writing, appears to include extra unemployment benefits, stimulus checks, and small business and rental assistance. I hope people in Congress understand the pain and desperation people are having, says Bill McCormick, a cabinet secretary for the New Mexico Department of Workforce Solutions, which administers the state's jobless benefits. I get emails every day constantly talking about people facing eviction, losing their cars, worried about feeding their kids, he said. Doja Niles, a single mom, lost a job in mid-March. She had been making about $13 an hour doing part-time clerical work for a hospitality shuttle service. You got a picture of her right there. Now, Niles, 26, is 6 months behind on her rent. She and her 3 young kids may soon be forced out of their apartment in Waterville, New York. Her current income about $380 per week in pre-tax jobless benefits and $5 a month in monthly food stamps isn't enough to cover the family's basic living costs. It falls well short for the federal poverty line for the family of 4. And a little video here, America's Crisis. Play a little bit on there. Of course, it's got some ads. Bear with me. Got to get through that. Just wanted to hear a little bit about eviction crisis.
we were in the midst of a housing crisis before the pandemic hit. In a normal year, we would see 3.7 million evictions filed annually. But now that we're in, month 8 or 9 of this global health and economic crisis, we've tracked over 155,000 evictions in the 27 cities where we're scraping court data. And, people are making choices between paying for rent, paying for food, insulin, other types of medicine. So,
look at these eviction
we say the rent eats first, but people are really squeezed 19. Right now. Wow. And I wouldn't hold my breath on a stimulus package just yet, but, we're watching with concern.
Sure, and I think one of the issues has been trying to figure out if that moratorium is extended, should there be some kind of relief for landlords, or should there be some kind of direct relief even for renters, and maybe the stimulus checks, if they're included, could be one version of that. Granted, it's only $600. So is there state-by-state recourse? I mean, we're seeing this now with jobless benefits. Some states are saying, okay, we're not sure if there's going to be boosted benefits at the federal level, so we'll boost them at the state level. Can the states do anything on eviction moratoriums?
Yes and no. The scope of the housing crisis is really bigger than any one state. We saw in the case of Houston earlier this year that they ran through emergency rental assistance in under 90 minutes. So really, what we're looking...
Pause it there. But just shows you the dire straits, and especially for evictions. I encourage you to take a look at that, listen to the whole news clip there. We'll continue reading the article. On Friday, Niles received an eviction notice, letter dated December 16th, ordered her to pay arrears of $5,400 in full within 14 days or vacate the apartment. Otherwise, the landlord, TCIM Properties LLC, will initiate legal action to evict and recover damage according to the document. Niles received a similar notice in August. Records show she was protected by a temporary eviction moratorium, but that expires after December. This is the first time I never needed to use unemployment in my entire work history, and the one time I did it, it just ruined my life. It should be criminal that what they're doing to me. Now, I understand her position and stuff like that, but the person who rents out properties and stuff like that, the landlord has to pay the mortgage as well. I mean, there's no relief for them for that process. You can put in forbearance, but the truth is that banks still look at what you're doing, even if you are putting in forbearance. It's just no free lunch nowhere around. And my heart goes out to this individual, but the person who rents properties, and we have to look at both sides of the coin. Again, this is no disrespect or anything like that for people suffering at no point. I'm just saying that sometimes we only hear one side of the story. Living paycheck to paycheck for years has meant Niles didn't have a cash buffer for such emergencies. It's hard for her to find a new job without money for childcare, a plight that puts single mothers amongst the most devastated by the economic downturn. Of course, landlords need the income, she said, but if we don't have it to give, it's putting us in a hard predicament. She's right. We'll handle the property managers in return a request for comment. 6,000. By January, more than 11 million households will owe more than $6,000 in back rent, utilities, and late fees on average about 4 months' worth, according to estimates from Moody's Analytics. That's a collective deficit of $70 billion. I think the levels of hardship we see right now in terms of food insecurity and other measures are historic highs, said Chloe East, an economist at the University of Colorado, who works specialized in the social safety net. The safety net doesn't always provide adequate income support for people who lose work. Unemployment, welfare, food stamps, and other social programs replaced just 19% of one's prior wages in 9 months after job loss on average, according to a paper published this month by East and David Simon, an economist at the University of Connecticut. Poverty is hitting families in every single state in the country, every single county, every single town. There's been no area left untouched. And unemployment programs, the most important safety net for jobless individuals, are the least protective for the neediest people, East said. That's because low earners are disproportionately hurt by wage and work history requirements imposed by states as a minimum bar to be eligible for aid, she said. Monthly job growth, it's been down, and then it started kicking back up after that. But this is anemic, to say the least. And lower wage earners, as well as people of color and those without college degrees, are the very people who have borne the brunt of the country's job loss since March. Employment among those paid less than $27,000 a year was still down 20% from pre-pandemic levels in mid-November, according to estimates from Harvard University's Opportunity Insights project. By contrast, jobs among those making at least $60,000 a year are up 1% from January. And it's poverty everywhere. Now, the few jobless benefits, Some are at risk of being turned off if Congress doesn't extend temporary unemployment programs set to expire in a week's time. Failure to do so will push 5 million people into poverty in January, according to a paper published Tuesday by Columbia University Center on Poverty and Social Policy. Nearly 16% of Americans, about 52 million people, were already among the ranks of the poor in November. That's a huge chunk of the American population, according to Megan Curran, one of the report authors. Poverty is hitting families in every single state in the country, every single county, every single town, Curran said. I read that before. Many jobless Americans have exhausted savings and other financial resources, severely stressing their ability to weather a financial shock, she added. Mike Carpenter, 34, said the unemployment system had led to financial ruin. Carpenter, who worked for a luxury apartment builder, hasn't received months of jobless benefits he believes he's owed from Pennsylvania. Wow. It should be criminal. Many workers are suffering severe hardship as a result of administrative snaffus at unemployment agencies. Again, my heart goes out, but criminal it's not the American policy. We're working in a situation where, the social contract is not being met. Mike Carpenter, 35, had struggled to collect benefits in Pennsylvania since losing his job in the spring. Without income, Carpenter, who lives in Philadelphia, drained savings and could barely pay bills for half a year, he said. He took on debt to finance basic needs. This week, his car was repossessed. He lost his apartment and has been staying with a friend. It wrecked my credit, said Carpenter, who has been a superintendent for a luxury apartment builder. I lost pretty much everything. Pennsylvania started paying Carpenter $5 a week last month, but has withheld all back pay, he said. Now the state unemployment website indicates he's only eligible for a few more weeks of benefits. The states are suffering as well because lost revenue from the taxes is really impacting a lot. It's not really being talked about enough, especially with pensions and everything else draining the budgets. But I digress. The state was unable to provide specifics about Carpenter's claim due to privacy laws, according to Sarah DeSantis, a spokesman for the Pennsylvania Department of Labor and Industry. She directed Carpenter to a customer service, sent an email box, communicate questions and complaints. This is for the first time I needed to use unemployment in my entire work history, and the one time I just needed to ruin my life. Carpenter said it should be criminal what they're doing to me. DeSantis. Randy Chase, the unemployed worker outside Denver, also had a lengthy flight for benefits. He initially applied for the California Employment Development Department for aid in April, have worked in the Golden State before. He moved to California. California denied Chase's request in October, almost 6 months later, claiming he needed to provide additional identity verification records. Show Chase claims he submitted the requested document long ago and appealed the decision. I'm in a desperate situation, Chase said on Wednesday. Right now, I'm just trying to survive this little bureaucratic morass. Through it all, Chase has tried remaining in good spirits. He celebrates the small victories. In November, he found a parking lot with an electric outlet, saving $5 in daily gas to run his generator. He then received help from the Colorado State Parking Initiative, volunteer-led nonprofit that makes safe, legal parking spots available to homeless individuals sheltering in their cars. Just a terrible state, man. After months of a continued setback, it seems Chase's luck has changed for the better. Received a call from the California Labor Agency on Thursday following a CNBC inquiry. Apologized for the error and informing him of the imminent release of owed funds. He received a deposit of $11,000 on Friday, expects another $3,000 soon. Glad to hear that. I don't think I'm going to be struggling long, Chase said. Kind of skipped over a little bit here. Encourage you to take a look at this. If you're in a situation where you're not suffering, count yourself lucky. If this video has been any value to you, please subscribe, leave some comments. I'm going to put a link inside the description. And as always, until my next video, I'm out.